everybody. Welcome to Living Better Now, where we celebrate the resilience of people, even in the most challenging times. With me today is Alonna Rubin. Welcome, Alonna.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. Carter Rubin won The Voice 2020, 15-year-old winner. And so that is how we got to meet you, Alonna.
Yes, yeah, so proud. We're still trying to, get our hands around what just happened. Very, very proud, and it was just an amazing experience.
So are people calling you Carter's mom now? Is that
Yes.
what?
People have been calling me Jack and Carter's
I was
mom
just
for so many years,
I was
so
just
I'm used to that.
say absolutely Carter and Jack's mom because
And I get a lot when I'm out. Are you Carter Rubin from The
yeah,
Voice? His
yeah,
mom? Yes.
because we're going to learn a little bit about your story, but every ounce, every bit of both Jack and Carter's mom in a very special way. So we're excited to meet you today.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Well, Alana, tell me a little bit if we can. We kind of focus on a couple of things in Living Better Now, and one of those is what has been the biggest change to your life. So let me ask you, what has been the biggest change to Alana Rubin's life?
So I have a son with autism, and I get emotional talking about this because I still can't believe how far we've all come and where we are now. So it's a happy emotion. But a lot of people think that the biggest change in my life was having a son with autism, but it's actually, there's a part two to that. The biggest thing that happened to me was having a son with autism, and then 4 years later, having a son without autism. And it's like, the only way I can explain it to you is almost like touring a museum with two different tour guides. So you're seeing the same things, but they're narrating it very differently. And trying to kind of blend those two worlds together and help them facilitate that togetherness. That was the biggest thing in my life. Jack is 19 years old, and when he was diagnosed with autism, that's how I learned to be a parent, my husband and I. It's the only way we knew it. And then when Carter was born, we actually, in the beginning, we had some concerns because we saw a lot of similar behaviors. And so right away, we kind of felt like, okay, we've done this and now we're seeing it again. But what wound up happening with Carter is a lot of it ended up just being learned behaviors. He was learning from his older brother. So when his older brother lined things up on the carpet, he started to line things up on the carpet because it was almost as if he started to see the world through his eyes at a younger age, kind of in a way like we want everyone to now. It just naturally happened with him. So it started back then, and I haven't had to facilitate too much because it's really happening naturally. But I have to say that that's really the big change in my life. From, you have these plans in your life and you think of how your life is going to go, and I navigating those two different worlds and seeing what has come from that and what they've learned from each other, that's had the biggest impact in my life. And it just continues. The change never ends. Every day they're learning from each other, and I'm seeing so much wonderful connection as they get older. It was interesting trying to understand how Carter started to hit milestones before his brother did, and he's 4 years younger. And seeing how Carter, as he grew up and started to really understand, the outside world, because that's all he knew either. He's the sibling of an older brother with autism, and what happens in our house, that's our normal. It's our world. So yeah, he had to almost sort of learn the other way as well. But they're growing up loving the same things, connecting on so many levels, and it's amazing, and it's just changed both of our lives. I just never thought, and I know this might sound cliche, but it is so true. I never thought I'd be learning so much more from my kids than I would be teaching them, and that's really the way our lives have gone. So that's amazing. And then also, just my older son is very into music, and the music connection that they have, I mean, it's amazing. And then he was very much a part of Carter's journey on The Voice, from the filming at my house to the packages they did, and the FaceTiming all throughout the day, every day when we were gone, and their connection that way, just really amazing. So that has changed my life, and it also led to other things that we started in our lives, with, with autism. We started about 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago. I co-founded an organization with my dad called Families in Arms, and we're local to New York residents. At the time, we're kind of small, but basically what Families in Arms does, and my kids are very involved in this, we raise money to send families that have children with autism to Disney World. And so a lot of people hear that and they think, huh, that's an interesting, but the mission itself is to help create memories that go beyond the walls of therapy, because we live our lives so bound to some of these therapies. That's just, the world that I've always known. And what we started to realize is when you go beyond those walls, that's when you find all of those missing pieces to the puzzle that you're always searching for. That's when you create these moments and memories that you can't measure, you can't research. They just happen. And they happen with your family. And that's why we called Families in Arms. And our logo is 4 puzzle pieces that are linked together, because you can't do it alone. And I always say too, that when a child is diagnosed with autism, so is the entire family, because it's something that affects everyone. So that's kind of our mission, to give moments to these families that maybe can't afford it, to just break away and go out there. And when we surprise families, my kids are always involved in the surprise, and Jack, my older son, is always the one that says, "You're going to Disney World," and it's pretty amazing. So that's what I do now. I run the organization, but I do it from home, which is great because I'm mom first, and I always have been. So I'm here with the kids, and it's just kind of a wonderful culmination of everything. And now we have all of this new exciting stuff with Carter going on, and so proud of how humble he is and how connected he is staying through this with his brother and our family. And so it's pretty amazing. I love my kids, my life. It's pretty amazing.
It's a very exciting time for you indeed. I'm going to go back to something that you said. You were saying that you never thought that you would learn, that you would be learning from your children. They'd be teaching you more than maybe you were teaching them, perhaps. Tell me, let's start with Jack. What has Jack taught you?
Oh, where do I begin? Jack, kindest, gentlest soul you'll ever meet. And he just has taught me that patience and love is really the 2 biggest ingredients to just everything. Understanding that everyone sees the world differently, and we have to be patient through that, and we have to give everyone time to process what's happening around them. We live in such a busy, crazy world, and everything is happening to us so fast all the time, and we're processing everything, and we're moving and moving. And my son doesn't work that way. You need to give him time to process what's happening around him. And it makes you all slow down a little bit. And then when you do slow down, you start to see things that you would have never seen if you were rushing through it. And he's taught all of us that. My husband, my son Carter, to just slow down and process the world the way he does, and the moments, and the song lyrics, and all of the things that even helped give him language. Stop and listen, stop and slow down. And he has to do that, and that's just the way he functions, because that's how he's learning and absorbing what's around him. And I think we all miss so much because we move too fast. So just that patience and understanding and love, and just slow it down, look around you. You get dealt one hand of cards in your life, and how you play them is your choice, because at the end of it, you can look back, and he's kind of taught us how to play our hand and slow it down. And that would be the biggest lesson that he has taught me. And as far as how I feel about my kids and admire them, that's just happens on a daily basis. So, but that's the biggest lesson he's taught me.
That's wonderful, and that's a gift and something you can appreciate every moment of the day. What has Carter taught you?
Carter, it's interesting because Carter, is a typical teenager, and he's experiencing life very differently in a lot of ways, same in many ways, but then he's also has the impact of the world out there, the social media, the peer pressure, all of the stuff that my older son it's like a bittersweet thing, blessed to not have to, he doesn't, even acknowledge any of that. And what Carter has taught me is that at a very young age, you can be so wise and just so incredibly strong. Because I thought that when you look around and you just think like, wow, this is going to really knock him down, or this is going to be hard, or this is going to take him out. And he's just taught me that, what, he's okay. Like, he's got this. He's taught me that he has the foundation. He's smart. He knows that we always say, listen, we all learn from our mistakes. Life is not perfect. No one is ever perfect. You learn, but he has taught us that we can have a lot of faith and confidence that he's on the right path. He gets it. He knows what he's doing. He's kind. And so he's taught us to just, let him grow a little bit. I learned to parent him because of the way I parented Jack. And I held on for a very long time. He didn't do the play dates as early as everyone. He didn't cross the street as early as everyone. And he kind of taught me like, Mom, it's okay. Like, I can do all those things. So protective. And it was things that I wasn't able to do with Jack. So I just automatically became that, I kind of did the same things. And he's just taught me like, I got it and I'm good. So let me go a little bit. And which is what this whole thing, came about. He wanted to actually try out a year ago and sent in a video at 13, and he got invited to a private audition. And about 2 weeks before we went, I was a little bit nervous and he was a little bit nervous, and he said, you know what, I'm not ready yet. Like, this isn't the time. And he waited. And then he did it, and look where we are. So he really has a good footing in what's going on with himself. And he's, I was happy that we waited, and I'm happy to let him have this experience. It was nerve-wracking. It's a reality show. You don't know what he's going to face. I didn't know, you just don't know. So I had to have a lot of faith in him, even though I was there with him, to just be able to handle this. And again, he's taught me that, I can let him go and grow a little bit, and look at where he is. So a lot of good lessons from both my boys.
Absolutely, absolutely. It sounds like you would have been you're even a better mom to Carter because you were a mom to Jack first.
Well, you hope so. And you learn, and different kids.
Don't worry, you'd have been an amazing mom anyhow. I just the blessings in your family. So it all comes back to the Families in Arms organization that you have, the foundation, and that how can people apply, or how does that work for somebody that has a child?
Okay, so right now, like I said, we are based in New York. And so at this time, our capabilities still lie in New York. So people that live in New York, Long Island to upstate New York, in the city, anywhere in New York is eligible. And what happens is, if a family is in need, they can be nominated through our website by somebody that works with them. So a family member can nominate their own family member. And the reason for that is because we are trying to make sure that we are helping the families that really truly need our help, that can't do this without us. So we ask for someone on the outside that works intimately enough to know the family well and know that they could really use our support. So they can be nominated through our website, and the criteria is on the site. And it's a couple of simple questions. And basically, it's children, it's from 5 on. And we started 5 because we really want even the child to fully experience it, the whole experience. So we kind of started it at 5 years old. And and it's just basically they can be nominated. We have a board, we look at the nominations, and our goal is to help everyone. But it's, the reason we have this foundation is because my son Jack started all his language and his really connecting to the world through Disney, whether it was lyrics or movies. He would repeat lines from movies and use them appropriately, but that's how he started his language. So we had gone to Disney when my kids were younger, and the amazing growth I saw happen with him every Disney trip was just unbelievable. But when you have a child with autism, depending on how many services you get through the school and through insurance, a lot of time people are paying and trying this therapy and that therapy, and the time commitment and the therapy that you know, the time that you have your child in therapy and the money that you spend and the emotional and financial strain can be so overwhelming. Usually the last thing anyone in that situation is thinking is, let's save some money and go to Disney World, right? Because your mind's not, you're not in that headspace at that time. So what we decided was, you know, when we first started going to Disney, you know, we had help from families because we were in that situation too. You know, it wasn't a trip we could necessarily afford to take all the time, but we had lucky enough to have family around that said, you need to get away and you need to go do this. So what we decided to do was start, you know, our lives changed, and, you know, we're fortunate enough to be able to take our kids to Disney and do all of that. And we decided, you know what, other people should feel that feeling. Other people should, you know, get the chance to see that growth and let their kids connect on that level. It's just so magical there, you know, with that, from our experience, we wanted to be able to share that with other people. So but we know a lot of people can't afford it, so that's why we set this up. And so families can be nominated through by their teachers, by their doctors, by social workers, job coaches, anyone that works at some level with a child with autism, and they nominate them. And then once a child is chosen, the family is surprised. We surprise them. So now we're surprising on Zoom. Normally it's in person with this trip. And what it entails, it's a fully paid 5 nights, 6-day trip to Disney World. So flights are paid for, meal plan, Disney resort, Disney tickets, everything. The only thing that we always tell them, the only thing they're responsible for is having a good time. I never want to give a trip away that someone can't afford to receive because of what their responsibility will be. So we pay for everything. It's for the entire family living in the home. Yeah, and it's amazing. And we've had the greatest feedback. We started 5.5 years ago, and our goal was to send a family a year because it's a big expense and we're small. So, but we actually just last week surprised our 17th family in 5 years. So we went above our goal, which is great. And, you know, it all depends on how our fundraising goes, you know, depending on how many families we're able to send. So not a set number per year. Some years are, you know, a little bit better than others, but yeah, but that's what we do. We love it. And just the joy that I see, I mean, the tears and the almost relief that I see on the parents' faces or the grandparents or whoever the, you know, the guardians are, it's just amazing. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I love what we do, and I love making people happy. My kids love it. So that's where I spend a lot of my time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Truly, creating a life-changing experience for families that just doesn't just, you know, stay within the amusement park at Disney World, but when they come home and probably with their in their interactions and their memories of that trip forever.
Yeah.
I'm sure that it really.
And my children actually filmed like a video social story. We filmed them over the course of 2 different years in Disney, really narrating, so that making a video so that people that are going can prepare their kids, because, you know, with autism, children don't like to be surprised typically. So that predictability piece is important. So just being very prepared of what's to come. So my kids narrate the entire trip, from the way it feels going through the airport and security, to what it feels like on the plane, to getting on the buses to go to the different parks. So, and how the roller coasters feel. So it's really awesome. And they really love to get that too, because they tell me that their kids just watch it over and over and over again. And by the time they go, they really have an idea of what they're walking into, which is nice for families, and especially for kids with autism.
Well, Alonna, what a pleasure it is to talk to you and just
Thank you.
what you're doing with your life and making such a difference.
Thank you so much. Thank you too. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I see all the work that you do. I was on your site, and it's amazing. So thank you for the work that you do. It's unbelievable.
Thank you, Alonna, for everything that you do.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Until next time, have a blessed day, everyone. Thank you.